I'm always working on these projects just all the time, but I don't always show them to people because I just don't have that. So I thought I would start this series where I just show you whatever I'm working on. And with that out of the way, welcome to Desk. This is an Ocean Optics SD2000 fiber optic spectrometer. Spectrometer as in it measures a light spectrum. I got this at like a yard sale or something for like $20. Apparently it's like a real piece of equipment, so I guess that was a steal. And it came with this, which is an ADC 1000 USB. And the way it works is you just connect it like this. And they fit together, and then you get USB, serial, power, I don't know what this is, one of their special proprietary port, and you can use it with USB on a computer. And this works, it totally works. I tested it, it can measure a spectrum of light. I don't really have anything useful to do with that. I looked at LEDs and saw where the peak was, what the peak wavelength was, but that's not really useful, and it's also probably not calibrated well enough for me to actually do identification of elements or any of that stuff with it. Although I suppose you could if you burnt something and then you could look at what the emissive peaks were. I took chemistry, but I didn't really get into this area of things. It also came with this, which lets you attach it a little differently. So you can plug this into here. Then this can go into here. And now you can have them apart, or like that, which I'm sure is very useful. Or you can wear it like a bracelet, which is fun. So yeah, this thing definitely works, but I wasn't just satisfied with talking to it over USB, because when this thing was new, which I think was in the very early 2000s, looks like 2002, you could have used USB, but you might have also used something like this. This is a beautiful card, a PCI card. It is the ADC 2000 PCI, and this is how you would talk to this spectrometer directly from a computer. That is without going over USB or serial. I got this online. But I really couldn't connect it because, as you can see, this is some hellish DB37 port, and this is a DB25. And I mean, who knows what the pinout is between these, right? I mean, this is an unobtainium cable. I looked it up. There were ways you could buy the cable, maybe 20 years ago. Now, I found a few people who had sets that had a device and a card with the cable, but it was hundreds or even over $1,000, and I was not gonna invest that in this. So that's it, right? I don't know the connector pinout, and there's a million cards like this that you can find online that have some mystery connector on the end, and it's you can't really do anything with that, right? Game over. That's just womp, doesn't work anymore. But I couldn't just let that happen. So I found someone online who had the original pinouts for this, and they sent me a photo of the pinout, and I made my own. Oops. So this is my own, and yes, it works, and I'm very proud of it. I made this yesterday. I took this DVI cable, and I cut it apart. You can see the cross section here, so rest in peace DVI cable. And I always feel bad cutting apart working nice cables like this, but at the same time I don't know how many people need DVI anymore, and I was kind of adding value to it, to me at least, because I created something better, but I still feel bad about it. So what I did was basically strip the outer insulation from the cable. I did a crappy job just now, but I did a better job when I was making it properly. Remove this shielding, which is just an aluminum foil. And then these are the twisted pairs. So I would take one of these, untwist it, then there's more foil too, cut off. And then these tiny wires would get stripped, twist the ends a little bit, And then I got these little crimp end things. So you take one, you just kind of metal fatigue it out of there. And then you take your crimper, push down really hard, and then that's the metal part on. You can see it's on now. Then do the insulation. And there you have it. Now it's crimped. Repeat that for the rest of the conductors, and I mean all of them. And then each one gets inserted into one of these. This is a DB25 connector. I got another one that's DB37. And these take these crimp connectors, and you just fit it in, and then the connector has been made. Of course, fit it into the right pin. I don't know if you can see it, but on there, there's tiny labels for which pin is which. You can see it on there. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4. And on the other side, I never knew that about these D-sub connectors, is that they actually label the pins on them, which is just so cool. But yeah, then I also bought these shells, and these just screw on top and make the whole thing look nice. And then it came with these screws, which let me screw it into the device. And yeah, there you go. It had to be DVI, actually, or HDMI, because the first thing I tried to do was just get a cable online that I could crimp and put ends on. So first I looked at the pinout, found the fewest number of conductors that I would possibly need. It was like 19, and then I actually got that down to like 18, 17 by commenting some ground lines and stuff. You would think you would just go on like DigiKey or whatever and say, okay, give me a 2-foot long cable with 19 conductors or 20 or whatever that is shielded, and they would just give it to you. But it turned out to be really hard to find raw cable of short lengths in those specifications. So it was just so much easier to just find a DVI cable and cut it, because I needed to have the right gauge of wire inside that I could do that crimping on it. And this one, which is a very long, this DVI dual link cable, happened to fit the bill. I cut open so many cables trying to do this. I cut open a VGA cable. I cut open so many cables. And I thought I could use DVI single link, because normal DVI, I think the difference is 19 pins versus 25 pins. And I only needed 19, but it turns out that most of the pins aren't usable, or at least aren't trivially usable when I'm crimping it myself, because some of the conductors weren't thick enough to crimp, so I needed to put 2 of them together. And then all of the twisted pairs have one conductor that is a thin little, actually I can show you. Yeah, so if you see in this twisted pair here, there's a white one, a blue one, and then this, which is like the other axis of like the coaxial twisted pair, but I can't use that, right? I can't crimp onto this. This is an unusable conductor. So subtract one of those from all of these. And then for these little ones here, which you'll see, these yellow and orange ones, they're smaller than these. So I had to twist 2 of them together to get a usable crimp. So all in all, I barely got by with DVI dual link, even though it should have had more than enough conductors. But I did it. It did take hours. Actually, let me see if I can open one of these up just so I can show you. Here's what it looks like inside. I think it looks pretty good, right? I mean, you can see, oh, careful. It just wants to come out of there so bad. Okay, hold on. So I want to demonstrate this for you with all of this connected. So I'm going to put that card in a computer, and then I'll show you this working on an actual time period software. So 1 minute. Okay, so here we are on Windows XP. As you can see, the card has been installed. If we go into Device Manager, you'll see, there it is, under Ocean Optics Devices. Getting the drivers installed for this thing is very annoying. I do not recommend it. The manual has this big thing that says, if you install the card before installing the software, you basically like screw it up and you have to manually delete all the files. It's really, I don't even know, it's awful. But now, if I take our cable, plug one end here, screw it down, of course. You can't see it, but the other is going to go to the computer. Okay, that should be connected. And now what I can do is close this and use this software called Base 32, which is a great name. And okay, that should be our spectrum. It is working. I think it's on the bottom one right now. And that brings me to the worst feature of this device, which is in keeping with the tech world's long-term commitment to using one of humanity's worst crimes as a metaphor for various technological features. This thing inexplicably calls its two inputs, which are of equal standing within the device, master and slave. But that's certainly not unique to this device. So if I remove this little cover, you can see I put tape over the other one to make sure no dust gets in that slot. And then I have some fiber optic cable. This is not the right cable for this, probably. It says multi-mode fiber optic cable for probably telecommunications. So it's not designed for like scientific use, but fine for me. So that goes in there. We just spin that. It is really hard to screw that on. Okay, great. And now this end, we can aim at things. Quick note during editing, I just realized that all of the X values this thing is putting out, that is the wavelengths, are off by about 150 nanometers. Not a big deal, I just need to calibrate it, but I thought I'd let you know. With that said, there's our spectra now, so you can see like as I aim this at different things. For example, here is a red LED. If I aim it at the red LED, ooh, let me actually put it in range. Yep. There's that very intense bump at 770 nanometers or whatever. If I take a different LED, here's a blue LED, and this one has a peak at like 620 nanometers maybe. Now, white LEDs are interesting because I think that the nature of the LEDs and technology is that it's pretty much like, I don't know what the word is, monospectral. It emits like one wavelength of light. So for white LEDs, they usually use phosphors that can sometimes have weird spectra. This one, yeah, it has a big peak around that 600 line and then another one at like 670. So that's interesting. You can't see, but right now I have it up to a white LED light bulb and you can see all sorts of weird stuff happening there. So yeah, that's about what I can do with this thing. This one here, this other input, can do, I think, closer to IR spectrum stuff. That is longer wavelengths. If you have any ideas for fun things to do with this, please let me know because I want to use it for something. It's just such a cool device. But other than that, that's pretty much everything that I have to say about this object so far. If you like the video, you should probably just send it to someone because you cannot trust YouTube to like show it to people or put it in their algorithm. Just if you think someone else liked this video, just send it to them so they can watch it because nothing else works in 2026. There's just too much slop. Nothing can get through. Other than that, that's it. So thank you for watching.